Hello everybody and welcome to another Mystery Box Function Challenge. In the purple box there's some mystery math and your challenge is to figure out what that is. You can use the link in the description to try this out. When you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. Alright, let's start with a 0. Okay, 0 gives us 1. How about a 1? 1 gave us a decimal there, negative a little bit. How about a 2? Another negative decimal. These appear to be non-repeating decimals, so maybe square root, maybe trig. How about a 3? And 3 is back up. Let's go a few more. 4. And now we're back down. So I'm thinking trig. And as I'm looking at this graph, at 0, it's at 1. So that makes me think of cosine. So maybe we've got cosine going on here. I'm going to take some notes for myself. So maybe this is cosine of x, and then something else is done to it. Let's look at some typical points for trig. Let's put in an approximation for pi over 2, 1.5. So 1.5, we're basically at -1. That's interesting. How about an approximation for pi? So 3.14. And that's up at 1. So there's something funny going on here. Let's look at that unit circle and think about what the cosine should be doing here if this is indeed the cosine. So our input is an angle, and then where the angle touches the outside of the circle, that's going to give us the x and y coordinates, and the cosine is the x coordinate. So at 0, we're at the point 1, 0. So our cosine is 1, and that's why I thought this was cosine to begin with. Actually, let me put in a couple of negative values here. So -1.5. Oops. There we go, -1.5. Let's put in a -2. Okay, just wanted to make sure there wasn't something funny going on the other side. It looks, well, this is not exactly what I would expect for cosine. It seems to be going down too fast. So we start at 1. That's the maximum value of the cosine. And as this angle goes up the circle, the x coordinate gets closer and closer to 0. So that by the time we're at pi over 2, we should be at 0. And then it gets bigger, well, it gets smaller actually, and we go to -1. So by the time we're at pi, we should be at -1. We got to -1 at pi over 2. And at pi, we're back up to 1, which would be all the way around here. So it looks like we're going too fast around the circle for it to just be cosine of x. And the result of this is that your waveform is going to be squished. If you imagine a spring, you're going to be pushing it closer together. We saw something like this last week with a sine function where it had a multiplier inside the parentheses. And I think that's what's going on here. The question is, what is the multiplier? And I think we can get that from the fact that what we expected to be the value for pi over 2 was the value for pi, and what we expected to be the value for pi was the value for 2 pi. I think this is happening twice as fast, and to get that, you need to multiply inside by 2. So this is the cosine of 2x. And I think I'm pretty confident in that. We've looked at a couple of points, we've thought about it, so I'm just going to reveal and graph. And there it is. Yeah, so this is the cosine of 2x. That multiplier inside the parentheses is going to kind of squish it, make that the frequency of this function a little bit faster. Well, how did that go? Were you thinking trig? Did you get the multiplier? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.